Yo, Hey Sam, how's it going? Can you hear me, Sam? Sam, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me at all?
Hello. Can you hear
Morning,
me
Sam.
okay?
You doing, man?
I don't think he can hear us because I was trying to talk to him and he wasn't responding.
Oh, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. All right, I got the headphones in case the kids are in the back there. So, are we
Okay.
okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
And I'm trying to find the questions. Can you resend them to me, please?
Yeah.
I had them repeating and coming back to me every morning, but this one for some reason didn't come back.
No worries. I'm trying to get the live set up. It's kind of glitching out right now.
I can try and look into my boomerang if you'd like.
It's okay. I'll send it.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks for
Excited to
coming
be
on.
here. Excited to be here. Thank you.
Excited to dive deep. We're going to talk about database. You want to go into that?
Absolutely. It's my one thing really. So let's do it.
We'll go really deep into that. We might actually stick to the questions given the fact that you just said that. So,
well, yeah, I prepared some things too, so I have some talking points, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of great things to talk about. So,
awesome.
Excited.
Survive and thrive.
Did you get them?
Yes.
Cool.
All right. I don't think I need to send these to you, Sam. They're fairly straightforward and fairly easy to work with. Just going to start off with talking about you, and then talk about some different lead gen sources. Obviously, we're going to talk about database pretty heavily.
Yeah.
What are you doing differently now, given the shift? So, how are you communicating with your database? Maybe a script or two on what you're using.
Okay.
We can talk about any expenses you're cutting, and obviously, database is a fairly inexpensive way to do things.
Yep.
Opportunities you may see in the shift. Are you doubling down? What activities are you doing to double down? Talking a lot about the 80-20 principle. We can talk about that and how, 80% of realtors right now are shutting down, and this is the time where we can gain market share, and market share gained in a shift remains.
Yeah.
What kind of conversations are you having with your clients, past clients, future clients? Have you had anyone that when you called, they had COVID? And if that's the case, how did you react? Are you updating your database to ensure you have all the current information? And then what will change during the shift that won't change back?
Okay, just think about that one. Okay.
I also have a contact you at the end. So the last 3 to 5 minutes, I'll ask how people can contact you, reach out to you. I might bring up your coffee dates. You want me to bring up those? Mention that you're open to doing some coffee dates and one-on-ones?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm still working on those. So
cool. So we can do that. And then you mentioned the fitness coach thing or whatever. So you can just say that you have a great fitness coach. If someone's feeling down or whatever, we can talk a little bit about fitness, how you keep your energy up.
Yeah, sure.
So.
Amazing. Excellent. I'm really excited to get into it.
I have a little bit of bad news right now. The Facebook Live is not connecting. I'm not sure what's going on. I've tried a couple of times to get it up and running. So it might connect halfway through, or it might connect like a little bit through, but then I'll repost the full video because it's being recorded. Okay, guys?
Can you record the video, upload it onto YouTube, and then drop it into Facebook and just say, sorry, guys, Facebook.
Yeah, send it over. I'd love to see it too.
Yeah,
awesome.
100%.
And Dylan, I might talk a little bit more because I want to add a lot of value. I prepared some things. So
dude, I'll be honest, man. The idea of here is I'm just supposed to sit here and let you talk. I'm just going to guide you through different questions. So you tell me.
Worries. Yeah, and I love that book, 7 Levels. I've actually read that about 3 or 4 times. So that's a huge book.
It's phenomenal. I want to know your takeaways from that because that's huge for database. Let's spend a lot of time on that, actually.
All right, guys. It's 8:30. I'm going to start the broadcast.
All right.
All right. Good morning, everybody. KWYP, fellow attendees. And this morning we're going to talk to Sam Abdallah. He's going to talk to you about communicating with your sphere through a shifting market. And Sam has recently read 7 Levels again, 7 Levels of Communication. So if you're looking for a content-filled book, definitely we'll touch on that quite a bit. So Sam, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about your career in real estate, who you are, how long you've been in real estate, what your GCI is, and if you are a team, solo, what that looks like.
Absolutely. Yeah, I started in real estate in 2015. I worked on a couple big teams, Shaw and Andre. I was a director of lead gen for Andre as well. So we did a lot of scripting with ISA, helped bring their production up as well. Learned a lot from Andre and Shaw, different leadership. got, learned a lot from Andre as far as even, doing scripting calls on your own and just putting you out there, learning how to fish, if you will. Using your database really, really well was something I learned really early. I always thought of myself as an intelligent follower. So I would just look at things. I'm high systems. I love systems. So I'm not a high C. However, I am a high S. So if there's a need for income, systems, scalability, I'm doing it. I'm going to make sure I'm doing it 100%. GCI is about 250. So about 36 transactions last year. I didn't have it admin until probably halfway, 3/4 through the year. Right now our goal is 75 this year transactions. So we have to hit pretty big. Hired a coach in 2017 in Mega Camp. I think it was about 2017. Hired a coach when I didn't have the money. Just had faith, and that's been always my thing. Big law of attraction and energy levels, and I'm really big into that. So really spiritual. Watch a lot of content that involves that stuff. And I find that your coach gives you a blind spot of your business. They kind of see it from a high level where you don't see it, and allows you to really dive into strategies, get better, find out what can I do to go deeper on my database. And I give a lot of examples today. So database is pretty much been my survival tool. I haven't spent a lot of money on ads or anything. Agent Locator, I haven't spent a penny on that. We just started doing Command. I have a virtual assistant right now. So we want to run a really lean business. We do get a lot of agent-to-agent referrals as well. And we just really go deep on our database, and we attempt to, anybody with a pulse, we want to bring them into our core and communicate with them and have a relationship.
I mean, there's so much I have to ask you about that. And before I get into my favorite question of the day, I will mention that you want to get on Sam's list. He does send out recaps like almost monthly, or after Family Union, after Mega Camp, during any big event. Like he sends a recap, he sends books, he sends YouTube channels. There's all kinds of stuff and content that Sam sends out just to a list. I started getting emails from him, and it's like they're customized to me. And it's like, hey man, he's just sending stuff to me, and I'm sure it's going out to a list, but it definitely feels personalized. Highly recommend to jump on that if you're interested in doing that, and we'll give some contact info for Sam at the end. And one more thing I will say is we're having some technical difficulties on broadcasting live on Facebook. So if you guys know anybody or have anybody that's looking to get on and watch this, share the share the Zoom link. We have still room on the Zoom link for a number of attendees to watch. So if you do have someone that wants to get on, just send them the link. We will be recording it, putting it on YouTube, and putting it on Facebook afterwards, so it'll find its way there. But just wanted to let you guys know that if you have anyone you know of, please share. So Sam, my favorite question of the day is: your business in growth or in stabilization?
It's always in growth, because there's, Cody Gibson had a great KW Connect video, and it's about those relationships we create now are mind share, creating that mind share to really reach out to our database. There's so much opportunity, whether it's an agent who isn't met, whether it's someone in the database, we can ask, are they okay financially? How has COVID affected your real estate plans? We created a list in Follow Boss. Right now we use that in Command. And that list was just all Mets. So going through about 600 Mets, almost done that list, probably the end of the week or next week, probably middle of next week, probably about 400 right now. And just using the same script, like, that kind of stuff, just the same thing. So there's a ton of follow-up. There's a ton of opportunity. My opportunity is that I have a ton of follow-up to do because I'm really prospecting based. So always in growth. I think there's always opportunity. And, my coach shared with me that Redfin is actually down 41%. I know that's more in the States. However, that just lets us know that there's opportunity even to build an agent database of golden handoff. We can contact those agents and see if we can get their database. I've done a lot of stuff with even getting co-lists to list with us and get a 50-50. So there's always opportunity out there for sure.
I love that. Co-list is something we haven't talked too much about, so I'll definitely ask that question. Although one question I do want to jump into, you mentioned you have a database of 600. Now we know we should be getting somewhere around 10 to 1 if you're nurturing those Mets properly and you're in touch with them all the time. 60 units is roughly where you'd be at. So you're going to get to roughly that 10 to 1 and that 75 units if you're focusing on that. What is the script you're using right now in a shift? And maybe if you can say it a couple of times, people can kind of write it down, or they can watch the recording afterwards if they like the script.
Yeah, absolutely. So the script right now is more of a compassion lead gen. I've also taken some things from Monica Reynolds, and Andre shared on one as well. So it would just be, hey, so you could use Ford or Frog. So I'll talk about Frog in a second, but how is your family? Is everything okay? Are you guys staying safe? First of all, keep my cell phone number if you need anything, even if it's groceries, medication, supplies, or anybody that's in desperate need. We're here to help. We're always here to help. I also want to ask, is everything okay financially? So we want to find out if they're, how is work? How is the company doing? We want to find out if they're in a holding pattern for their work. Are they having some challenges? Are they maybe thinking about selling? My big thing with Michael Maher talks about in his book, it's more about getting in a referral conversation rather than asking for a referral. So if we can get into that referral conversation, that will help us understand if they're downsizing, what their situation is. A great opportunity too is if we ask them about they're looking for financially, they're having challenges financially. Well, here's a great time to contact our allied resources and feed them business and call them every time we have something to give. That's the biggest thing. Always call them when we have something to give them, because when you have that mindset, it's really easy to make those calls. You don't feel like you're taking, you actually feel like you're, he calls it generosity generation, not lead generation, which I really like.
Yeah, I love it. 7 levels is huge. Do you want to jump into 7 levels?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely go over a couple things, give a couple quick examples as well as opportunity. So here's one thing where I see if you're focusing on opportunity in your affirmations and all that, you'll see it. So example, we had a builder from Fura Homes. They were just in Kijiji. We were doing some lists and we were making calls. And I didn't know that I thought they were for sale by owner. And I called them and I asked them, I said, listen, we have, by the way, I have you on the line. How is your family? How is everything? I did the same thing. And then I asked them, I said, listen, we have a new build with Grand Bell. We had about 96 units that we had a partnership with a builder, me and another agent in Mississauga. And I asked them, I said, would you guys be willing to give away some of your database, or at least let us contact these people and we'll send you a referral fee? So we're just thinking of ways to use that contact. Now they're tagged as a builder. Now they're actually, now they're communicated as such. So now we can communicate with them in a certain way. So as long as we're feeding that database and we're communicating with them a certain way, we're going to be able to make sure we know how to communicate with them. Agents, for example, I think as an agent, what do I want? I don't want to know that you sold in multiple offers and, one day on market, good job, bucko, right? I want to know that you're giving me value, not how to get ready for home inspection, but what are the takeaways? What are some things that could help my business as an agent? I shared the Dion Bag videos. I always collect things, right? So I had the Dion Bag videos for Path to the Good Life. I shared those with some people in McKay there. So just want to add value, and I think it comes back. We could definitely talk about 7 levels of future.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should. That's something we haven't focused too much on. So anybody who isn't aware, 7 levels of communication. I'll actually ask a question, then I'll go grab the book and come back and show you. But 7 levels of communication it's like a Bible for real estate. Like it's just like the MREA, except it's all about communication and touch campaigns and keeping a really low cost lead gen exercise and activities. So it also has 50 some odd different systems in it, from just like coffee dates to batching and all that stuff. So why don't you jump into maybe your top 3 systems you took from 7 levels and items that you're going to use, maybe your cards or whatever. Jump into top 3 and I'll write the book right now. For
sure. So there's a huge opportunity with, so there was a script from 7 levels. So what we want to know is if you're talking to someone, if you're talking to someone in your database and you don't know if you should add them, because let's say their mother-in-law is a real estate agent and they'll never probably refer you or work with you. It's called the Chosen One script, and it just goes like this. It says, hey, I just wanted to ask you, when you hear of someone buying or selling a home, who's the agent you recommend they call first? So that allows me to understand if they're going to be able to refer me, and if I should put them as a MET even. A MET to me is someone that knows who you are. It may not have met you. However, they know who you are when you call them. Getting into 7 levels, there's a ton of it. Being a connector. So I always find that if I'm a connector with my database, I had an example here. Someone looking for a job. If someone is looking for a job right now, I can call, someone else in my database and introduce them and connect them by email. I had someone that was writing a book, and I introduced them to a guy who does karate, and he's also written a book. So it's pretty neat that, we can connect each other, and now we're offering a lot of unique value, and being the connector, we're going to be remembered. When it comes to 7 levels, he talks about frog. So FROG is family, recreation, occupation, goals. Forward is great. You can use the forward sandwich. We talk about that in bold. If you have a high D, you go into, the meat, and then you get into forward, or you do the forward sandwich. Generosity generation. Frog is really neat because you want to talk about goals. If you're offering, renovation coupons or, anything for appliances, maybe you're going to talk about their goals for renovating. That's going to get you into a referral conversation a lot quicker, in my opinion. There's even a lot more. There's a lot of stuff with 7 levels the networking stack. I never really used that yet. That's a really good option. So the idea is you have someone meeting Dylan for coffee, and then you have a builder that comes in at the same place. So you have home court advantage, and there's an overlap of about 15 minutes. I go to the bathroom, Dylan and those guys connect. Now my network has gotten stronger, and I haven't even have to leave the building. It's more efficient as well.
Yeah, 7. I mean, this book is so powerful. I think it's only a couple hundred pages, not even 180 or so, 175 pages, including the appendix. And the appendix basically has descriptions on absolutely everything, with descriptions on it with the scripts that are involved. One script that I used just recently actually is really simple. Hey, first name, hope all is well. Wanted to touch base. I have a couple of specific questions for you. Could you please call me at your earliest convenience? Here's my phone number. It's not an emergency, but when you have a second, please give me a call. I promise to only take a minute or 2 of your time. Thanks in advance. Talk to you soon. Your first name. It's a super soft way for someone to reach out to you, and you can add them to your database, and you can update their database information. And right now, given a shifting market, people want to talk. People are at home. I got a text from my mom yesterday saying, hey, are you guys okay? I'm like, no, question is, are you okay? Because clearly you're asking me that, which means you actually want to be talking. So people want to talk. They want to get in conversation. And what better time for the realtor to reach out and say, hey, let's have a conversation. Who cares if it takes 5 minutes or 35 minutes? Just jump on the phones, be in touch with those contacts, be in touch with your database, which is also probably why it's taken you 5 weeks to get through 400 or 600 people. So
yeah.
Why don't you, how many people are you reaching out to a day? Obviously, database is your primary lead gen source. Your costs are very, very minor. Your profit margins are probably through the roof, having a VA and working your business yourself. So take us through that. Like, what does your typical day look like, and how are you communicating with as many people and having valid conversations, and how many of them have actually transacted, or have you had any bad news? Has anyone had COVID? So just answer some of those questions.
Yeah. So communicating with between 25 to 40 a day, definitely doing my best to double down. I know James Shaw talks about you want to double down on listing appointments, doubling down on everything. Mondays, we usually call for sale by owners. So Mondays are a complete FSBO day, calling FSBOs and calling old FSBOs. And we have a list for that, and we'll just contact those. And we want to bring them into our core advocates as well. As far as getting through a shift, Jason Abrams talks a lot about the law of emotional proximity, is where when people are perhaps transacting, if you're only contacting them when you're close to that transaction window, it seems disingenuous. So if you can be in touch with them through each step of the way, then when they get close to that window, they're going to think of you. I haven't had anybody who had COVID. I do have my parents ended up getting it. They're in another household. They're okay, which is good. So just touching base with them. What a typical day looks like: 9 a.m. we'll do a meeting with the VA. More working on my leadership. What are the priorities for the day? What are the wins? Reading a lot of John Maxwell, just generating that influence, making sure that I can stay as a good leader. And leveraging out those activities that are not 20%. So whether it's, these emails, he's in my email. I don't touch my email till noon. I don't touch social media usually till noon. For birthdays, we call everybody on their birthday, whether it's an agent or not. They're a person. They have a sphere. There's no reason that we're not going to be calling them on their birthday. We make notes of their dates. When we have it on Facebook, Facebook's a great tool. I remember I got that from a Tom Ferry podcast a while back. Is you see the birthday, you put it in Facebook, or Follow Up Boss, sorry, and you end up giving them a call on their birthday, and you just wish them a happy birthday and let them know that everything's, trust you're well. What was the other question again?
I don't know. Questions out there. Talk about your morning.
Morning. So I mean, and so we look at what are the admin tasks at the beginning of the week. So I break those all down, and then that way I delegate them to Sherwin, my VA. And then each day we look at, okay, here's a deal. Here's some things that we have to work on. And I go on working on the phones. I just get on the phones there. There was one really neat thing from the book. I don't know if this is actually from the book, but there's called a Facebook. So I know we'd all do the Buyer Wednesday post, looking for a buyer, looking for someone for a family. This is called more of a Facebook post of giving more than you take. So the post is pretty much, I have a referral goal of to give 10 referrals this week. And I'd like to help at least 5 people. Who do you know that I could help? I'm here to help. So the point behind that is that we want to send a message that we're giving more than we take, and that we have a goal of giving referrals, and that will come back to us in a conversation as well.
So you share that where? Instagram, Facebook? Is that on a story, or is that on your actual page? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Is it annually? What is it like? Go a little deeper into that, because that's a huge opportunity for referrals.
Huge opportunity. Yeah, I've only done it a few times. It's something that's actually on the list to do consistently. However, like listening to it again and reading it, it's been great. So yeah, you could do it every week. You could do it every month. You're just posting it out to your Facebook. What we recently did is did a Facebook playbook training with Kirby Chan. And we separated all our Facebooks in different lists. So we have VIP SOIs, we have the top 500. He puts top 500. Forever client, we call them forever client. We kind of took the Loken thing. They do forever client instead of past client, because that kind of indicates that they're in the past. It's more forever. So we have tags for that. What else? So when we have them in certain categories, we know we can post to that list easily. And so now we can get more systematic with it. So I can just create a system around it. Hey, Mondays, we're going to post a referral goal. We're going to post allied resources. We're going to post that referral goal to post, and then we're going to post it somewhere else. So we just want to create a system around everything. So we're not using technology to eliminate it, but we're just systematizing. So if we have 10, listings a month or whatever, we can easily still do those activities.
Awesome. And you want to go through that script one more time, just real slow, mention it real quick, once real quick, so we can actually put it on our Facebook or whatever we want to do.
Yeah, it's super, super easy. So it's hey everybody, I have a referral goal to give 10 referrals this week and help out at least 3 or 4 families. Who do you know that I could help? I'm here to help. Maybe not receive, you can use receive. The point is it sends a message that you're going to give more than you take.
Awesome. There you go, guys. So that's one tip you can have. Now, we spoke, well, switch gears a little bit. We spoke a little bit about a 4th level team. And second level is bringing on an admin. You brought on an admin. You brought on a coach. Why don't you take us through that and what your coach is doing right now and what your admin is doing right now to reduce costs? I know that MAPS is reducing their costs right now. I think they do $500 instead of $1,000 for 2 months. If you're a new agent coming in, I think it's 2 months for free completely if you join on an annual program, or it's half price if you just do month to month. Why do you go with a virtual assistant admin? What is the next step, and what's your cost look like for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so the cost for virtual admin, so I use Cyberbacker. They're about $1,500 US. The conversation just came from, I was thinking big enough. However, my coach helped me see a blind spot and then discover that. So we were looking at how many hours in a transaction. And as a rainmaker, you probably do this all the time, where when you're building a wall of value, you know that, let's say a transaction has 40, 50 hours. If we can delegate 40 of those hours to an admin, and we know that there's an X cost for that admin, that we know that we can, either work that to get more transactions in that same time, and also increase our dollars per hour. So when we ended up hiring the Cyberbacker, it sort of just came from writing some things down and how many people can we serve more by having the admin, and then working on my leadership to make sure that I maximize that. Because I think that a lot of people look at costs, but if you're not effective with your leadership and letting them know what they need to do, building a lot of systems, being in on those calls, like they were in on the Kirby Chan call, the Facebook playbook training, he's learning all that stuff. I want him to be better at it than me, honestly. He's in the calls with Ryan. So being effective is, I think, going to help us make more money. We did a cost with cost per lead click. I think it was 55 cents. So been listening to Josh Bickle. I have him do the Josh Bickle training. So if I'm not on the training, he's on the training. We're always looking at what can we do to help build systems, improve things for sure. As far as cost goes, what are we looking at costs? We just recently redid our P&L. So we talked to market center admin. So I wasn't an expert at expenses. And she taught me how to go line by line and really look at everything. So it keeps me more accountable, because if I don't know where the money went, it's a budget tells your money where to go, and instead of wondering where it went. So that's where I was wondering where it went.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I know Tech Rye, I think, is actually watching this right now. You can reach out to Tech Rye or one of our tech ambassadors if you want to do a tech audit to see where you can save money and how Command can help you save money. I think I did it. It was like, I don't know, $24,000 or something like that. Ridiculous. And my costs are already fairly low. And having a good bookkeeper is definitely someone you want to have. Your P&L it's magical. When you actually fall in love with it, you understand the numbers on it, and you can rehearse those consistently. You know when you can spend money, if you can spend more money, how much you're spending per listing, what the leads you're getting cost per lead. I mean, you talked a little bit about Facebook pay-per-click. I haven't gone down to 55 cents yet, but I think I'm about 85 cents right now.
That's awesome.
And we're just flooding it. In the last 4 days, we have almost 60 leads, and I put out like $20 or $25 or $30, whatever it is. I can't remember exactly the cost, but there's lots of leads, and it's all about the follow-up and the smart plans and the campaigns, and it's all there in Command. We've had a lot of people say that Command wasn't working. Well, now it is. Get out there and definitely use it. Josh Bickle, Command Your Canada, definitely hop on that too. You can see what he's sharing with Command Your Canada, Command Your Conversations, Nick and Tristan down in the States. But definitely jump on all that stuff. 75 units is your goal.
Yeah.
How you came up with a goal of 75 units, where you're at right now on that track, and what your MAPS coach or your coach is doing to help you stay on track to hit those goals through this shifting market.
Yeah, it's a great point. So where we're at right now, so we're at about 16 units right now. So we closed and pending. There's a couple in 2020. I think 1 or 2 in 2020. I think around 120,000 and around there. So where are we at right now? That's where we're at right now. Our goal. So I didn't want to shoot for that 120 units just because I wanted to shoot for it. I wanted to build the team the right way. I don't want to have a revolving door of agents coming in. I want to make sure that I have an admin core in place. So director of operations hire that comes first. And then when I went to Joe Bogar and Monica Reynolds' breakout session at Family Reunion and that was the second time I went there. It was really good. They talked about building a 7th level team, taking the mystery out of it. And the model that Gary talks about, they say, well, why don't we just have Gary write all the books? Because, they were joking around because we don't want to recreate the model. And the model was really, then you bring on after your director of ops, they kind of drive the admin, and the admin is reporting to the director of ops. So, that kind of helps with that. And then you bring a lead manager on to create leads. So eventually you have the showing assistant that is servicing those leads. You have more leads for the showing assistant, keeping them busy. So that was a big aha for me. So I really wanted to build it the right way and not just be attached to I want to do 100 units for maybe ego's sake or whatever. I'd want to make sure that I can get to a really good 75 units to really make sure I can stabilize. Another thing Gene Rivers was talking about is if you hire the next year, like people still have to get customized to the roles and training and all that. So sometimes there's a bit of a delay. So putting that goal this year for 100 units or so, I think it just wasn't, I don't think it was really attached to that yet.
And I mean, Gene, I love the model. I've gone to Gene Rivers Business Planning 100 times. Every time he speaks, I go there. It's insane. Not 100, but I'm always there. And he talks very specifically on how a 4th level team in the year it's being built, starting January 1st, when you hire, you follow 30, 60, 90 and leverage series and all the systems that we have, a level 4 team can produce 75 units in 1 year. And that following year, with stabilization, not adding any additional members, we'll do 120 units if it's at max optimization. That's a 40-hour-a-week position for each of those members. So if you follow the model and you commit to that model, there's huge upside for a realtor. And in our price point at $10,000, $15,000 a deal, you're basically at that $1 million price point now at a 4th level team. So maybe not net $1 million, but you can definitely gross $1 million. You can be in those areas. So it's a really interesting model to follow, and I'm committed to, and I know you are as well. It's really nice to see. So with that being said, we're currently in a shift. I've been told by one of our coaches that Q2 expect to be 50% down. And Q2 traditionally is 35% of our year. So if your goal is 100, I'm going to use that because it's really simple. Q2 would usually be 35 closings. So April, May, June would be 35 closings. I'm being told to cut that in half. Are you doing anything differently? You just said you're at 16 units of 75. We're into Q2. Q1 is 25%, which would be about 23 units for you at 75. So what are you doing different? Are you doing anything differently? Are you like, how are you going to temper your expectations knowing that 75 is your goal and now we're in a shifting market?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go back to the office first of all when I can. I think I can actually go back. That's my wheelhouse. I really love being at the office. I'm doing good work here. I think it's gonna help though being at the office. So yeah, as far as being able to be hitting that goal, I'm looking at a trend report all the time. So we have a GCI spreadsheet. I'd be happy to share whatever, and it has calculations. So we divide it by a 10.5-month year. You see where you're trending to, your average cost per deal or your average income per deal, and knowing, okay, where am I trending to right now? So we are trending a little bit lower than that right now. We got to make sure that we're getting ahead of everybody. We have a really good pipeline from all this lead gen we did. We took 2 listings last week, which is good. One for sale by owner and one person that they're still listed, which is great, and we're going to get that sold. So we know that we're doing the right activities, and we know that I think that we could be ahead of a lot of other people that may be giving up, that maybe those for sale by owners are in pain. And I think we can at least make sure that we maintain what we were doing. If it was 5 units a month through this time, because this is where we really want to maintain. And we have to double down. Cody Gibson talks about, don't leave until you have an appointment. So really doing our best to make it all a habit. As far as saving cost too, with your other question, just calling, never throwing away a lead, calling everybody, following up with everybody until, if they're not going to be transacting, or even if they're an orphan client, keep them in your database somehow.
I don't know if you guys all heard that, but it's super, super important. I see Brad, you're on here right now. And when you're making your contacts, there's contacts for contacts and there's contacts for contracts. If you're making your calls and you're having all these contacts, you're talking to 100 people and you have no leads. You're talking to 100 people and you have no follow-up in place. You're not actually executing on the closing side of things. You want to make sure that when you're making contacts, you're making them for an appointment. So if you're doing 20 contacts a day or 100 contacts a week or 100 contacts a day as a Bolt 100, whatever that may be, that's to get you in the habit of doing that every single day. Really what you want to aim for and what you shouldn't stop until you do is making contacts until you set that appointment. Set your appointment goal. 1 appointment, 2 appointment, whatever that may be, and just keep calling until you make that appointment goal. It could be 11, 12 o'clock at night. I don't care. Make those calls. Be sure you're there. That's the only way you're going to hit your goals and hit your numbers. So I know we're in the last couple of minutes here. So in wrapping up, how can someone reach out and how can someone contact you? I know you got some coffee dates. They can do some one-on-ones. How can someone find you?
Yeah, I'd love to. You can contact me. My cell is 519-574-3532. Email is sam@soldbysamkw.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to add value. I'm doing those coffee dates. Thanks for that, by the way. That's helping me in my allied resources and just giving another touch point. Reached out to, chiropractor, whoever, and just adding value to them. And another great idea is, reverse Bold 100. If you ever want to reach out and find out how to do that. I learned that from Jerry and things. That's been great. That would be a great quarantine kind of prize, right? How to win a Google Home, reverse Bold 100.
Awesome. That's awesome. So that's it. That's it for today. At 11:30 this morning, we do have David Brousseau hopping on to go live with KW Canada for 2 hours. Our very own Anna Marin, I'm not sure how to say your last name exactly, Anna. But Anna will be on there today. And definitely hop on. We'll see you guys again on Friday. And I'm looking forward to seeing you then. Definitely share these posts on Instagram, Facebook, and invite your friends. Take care, guys. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Cheers.